How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I've got a little bit of a simple mission. Again, it was a chance to go and test out this Neo Falcon vehicle, so yeah, I'm doing one called Reconnaissance. It is actually a contract, but again, a pretty simple one. You basically got to go down to the bottom of the first map, what's it called, Mountain Ridge, and then just kind of get to 6 locations, which are along a road, but the mission itself recommends a scout. Hence why I kind of picked it, and yeah, it's probably not the most ideal road for a scout, but there is ways around it, and just for the sakes of awkwardness and for a little bit of kind of testing purposes along the way, these are the 6 places you got to go. So yeah, you basically follow in like the dirt road along the bottom, and then you kind of loop back around to the actual main road to finish it off. Yeah, I could have gone left out of this garage, kind of cut over the river where the bridge is out, or possibly at some point fix that bridge. I think I have in the mod playthrough, but not on this one so far. Yeah, there was kind of a river to cross, and I don't know, I quite like doing that. It reminded me a little bit of, probably not to the same scale, but was it Flooded or Deluge? I can't even remember what it was called, one of the two, on MudRunner, where, yeah, I suppose to get 1 star on that map, it was just the way that they used to work. Like, you had to spend stars to get vehicles, and the scouts only cost 1 star, so to try and complete the game on 1 star was like the hardest thing to do. Yeah, and I floated a Hummer across the river and that. And yeah, this was like a little small scale version. And then driving along the way there's just a couple of little clips. I'd say, as far as this mission goes, I've managed to probably drag it out. Certainly, I could have just got there, started the video when I'm there, and then yeah, the video would have been like 2 minutes long. But like I say, I wanted to go and mess around a bit. And yeah, there's not, like, I definitely, pretty much any given day, I'd rather trucks be added into the game than scouts. But as far as scouts go, there's a little kind of tester so far. Yeah, there at least feels like there's enough power in it and all the rest of it. I mean, it's never going to replace the goddamn horse, but nothing's really gonna. He's earned his spot. So yeah, this is the river I decided to cross. You can see like a little rock thing poking out into the river, which I figured would be the shortest distance to the side. The current, I was just checking, is going, well, it depends which way I've got the camera facing, but if we're looking this way, it's going from right to left. There was trees just a little bit further downriver on the other side, so I thought, if I have to fire a winch out, like, I can jump in the river, follow the current a bit, and then grab a tree on the other side. Yeah, jumped off the cliff, you can see. I was thinking about it, but I planned ahead. Got a autonomous winch on the loaf this time. I do have that other vehicle at the top as well, the Neo Falcon, but on principle, I wanted to have a little go and see. Yeah, I landed on a tree, kind of wiggled me to the side. I was doing a little bit with the steering, but it was letting me at first actually steer the wheels, and then for a few seconds it just kind of locked. There seems to be some kind of limit. I don't know, when you're like very close to the edge, it doesn't let you steer, but your engine still runs on that. So yeah, I just fired another winch out, flipped myself to my wheels. And then we'll see. To be fair, it's looking fairly deep. I couldn't really see the bottom from here. I kind of figured I might start going underwater now, which again, I planned for this. That's why I jumped in upstream. But he's a goddamn horse of a vehicle. Get yourself a loaf. He pulls it out of the bag again. Victory horn achieved. Wow. So that's the loaf on the other side. I admit, technically speaking, I did attempt to make a video on this vehicle. But already, it wasn't even climbing up those rocks as well as the loaf. Then I had to jump down here. What about now? Like, oh no. That's not looking good. So long story short, I was messing around for ages, to be honest. I mean, this is quite a good example of, yeah, the amount of, I don't know, hours I've edited out. It's like, yeah, for some reason I'm quite easily able to make a rather simple small mission. Go for quite a while, but again, I'm having some fun, getting some testing on the go, see what's going on. Yeah, so long story short, I ended up coming back with both the vehicles. I even driven. I think I was going to say drove and driven, so I said driv. I drove driven them both back individually. I mean, again, this was when this got here. Tried to climb the rock. I was like, oh no. So it's possibly about the third time. But you can see a nice bit of speed, not insane to the point where it completely goes understeer. When I came out of the garage and that, it did understeer a little bit on the road, but to be fair, most vehicles basically do once you're up to that speed anyway, so not really bothered about that. And yeah, I'd run this route a couple of times by now. It's only, was it like a 45-second trip from the garage or something, so nothing too crazy, but yeah, the pace of it, like, it's not just getting stuck every 2 seconds, but that does, when I pretty soon get to the actual mission that this video is about. Yeah, there's quite a lot of like snow and everything there that does slow you down a bit, but there's a potential option to get around it. See, bit of loaf training, that's all it took. It's a nice handstand. And you land it. And I didn't have a roof rack or anything on this. It was just the one I built yesterday when I kind of rescued the vehicle anyway. Well, the one I rescued and then smashed to pieces is still where I got it. I went and bought this as a separate one. I mean, again, live training. It's getting better than it was 5 minutes ago. It just needed to be shown the error of its ways. Yeah, thankfully, there was a goddamn professional on the other side. Because the current was catching this thing a lot more, and that's what I mean with the loaf. The loaf is odd. It genuinely is. When it comes to sinking, it sort of sinks but sort of floats. Yeah, he'll sink, but if he needs to float downriver, he'll float just under the surface. I do have footage to prove such things, but I'll spare you this time. Yeah, whereas this Neo Falcon thing, it just looked like it was starting to float a bit. Like I say, I could put a roof rack on, that might make it heavier. There is something called a safety cage, like a big roll cage that goes on this, but I'll be honest, they killed it when they called it a safety cage. It just didn't sound as good already. So I left it. But yeah, possibly, like when I do the review video, which I'm going to get either this or the Burlak. I'm probably going to do the Burlak first. But nonetheless, I'm kind of, both of them are fairly high on my priority list. Do you see that? I just thought, oh, I'll pull the loaf up and I'll drive off in this, and within a second, as soon as I decided I was actually going to leave the loaf mid-mission, separation anxiety and just fell over. So at this point, obviously driving here is no real biggie. It tends to be the way with the Scouts. I mean, that's what kind of is the overall theme from this little contract, really, is, as you can see now, you're best off just driving anywhere except the roads, because for whatever reason, Scouts seem to be unreasonably punished and kind of hampered in a way. I mean, the mission starts officially when I get that first blue square, which is an odd choice of colour. You can barely see it in the snow, but yeah, you know, if you like to start a contract and then it says Scout recommended, you could definitely do this mission with a truck, obviously. In theory, if objectively speaking, that'd probably, yeah, I think be quicker. It'd be an interesting one if you actually did. I might even do it at some point. I know, well, it's a shame this isn't a contest, to be honest, because when I already knew it wasn't a contest, but just when I first had the idea to do this mission and everything, for some reason I had a contest in my mind, so that's why I actually thought I'll bring the Neo Falcon and the Loaf, and I'll do a run with each. But then, yeah, before I even set off from the garage, I kind of realised that, yeah, it's just a contract or whatever, so it's a kind of one and done. And yeah, you can see there's like patches of snow and all the rest of it. If you just don't drive along the road though, it's not too bad. And like I say, this vehicle, yeah, it's in the scheme of things, I don't necessarily think I'm going to be using it a lot in 6 months. But that being said, I don't know, Scouts like the Lodestar, I really like that Scout. I couldn't even tell you the last time I used it. So yeah, this may well end up gathering dust, but it's not strictly from just it being completely useless. And again, I definitely would rather a truck, but if we're going to be given Scouts, I'd rather they have a little bit of oomph to them like this. That tree, by the way, it's going on the list. That's why I was like, hang on, check the map. I'll be back later, tree. I'll get a bigger, fatter truck. I'm not sure if it's an unkillable tree, but I need to know. I just didn't want to waste time at the minute. He says it's pretty rich coming from me, to be honest, considering it took me about 4 hours to get to this point, which is probably about 38 seconds into the actual mission. Just don't even know how to stretch it out. That's definitely what she said. Had to get one in there. She said that as well. Yeah, little bits like this with the snow. I've driven through snow before. Funnily enough, it was I've probably mentioned it before when my brother came over once in a different vehicle. He used to come over from the Isle of Man quite a lot with a different vehicle every time. One of them was a Land Rover, a V8 Land Rover as well. It was quite nice. But it snowed when he came over, and we went out driving around in that, and yeah, I won't go into it, but he nearly hit a post and we swerved around it, and yeah, well, that drove through snow pretty convincingly. I've even driven through snow in the M5. The M5 loved snow. And yeah, I just think this game, I don't know, just kind of seems to put, I mean, like now, for example, I just don't necessarily think they need to go this slow. And it doesn't really bother me, because I could drive, you know, like further around the edge of the road, and yeah, the vast majority of the time I just take a truck. And that's why the Lo4f has been the perfect companion to yeah, I stick on a truck. Got a bit of, I don't even, not aquaplaning, but it caught the right side of my truck then. I don't like it when that happens in a car either. Yeah, so there you go. Like the rest of the missions, just driving along the road, pretty simple. Money wise, not amazing. It wasn't really for the money or anything else. I know I wasn't gonna have time to do a review video. I only just got this vehicle yesterday, so yeah, for like, although a fair chunk of it hasn't actually made it into the video, I had a good little bit of testing with it. And this was for no reason at all. I was autopilot mode. I just switched back to the Lo4f and didn't even really realise what I was doing. And I just subconsciously drove over to these logs and climbed them. And it was only about now that I kind of realised what I was even doing. I think I was talking to the cat and all sorts. So yeah, I mean, get yourself a Lo4f. Yeah, that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed though. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. I'm going to say it again, get yourself a Lo4f, and I'll be back soon.